Good evening, and welcome to the St. Petersburg by Night podcasting network. Tonight, we present to you our Werewolf the Apocalypse Chronicle, Rage Across Tampa.
Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the heart of night, we rise from shadows, howling at the moon, igniting our battles, cleansing dire of an endless fight, until our final days we will fight. Thanks, man, we stand united as one. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the brave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Everywhere we run, the wind is at our back. All the worm's forces we will track. From the depths of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, vampires tremble as we learn to fight. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the brave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take a final stand. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Everywhere with the pack, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide. We'll never hide.
Good evening and welcome back to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network, where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is Kent, also known as Michikent on all social media. I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night, and I am the storyteller of Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition chronicle, which is what you are here to see because it is Tuesday night. And that is the night we celebrate our pack of Guru, which are attempting to retake the city of Tampa from the Tampa Kindred, the Camarilla who have controlled this region of Florida for nigh on a century and have driven out the Guru over a decade ago. But this young upstart pack have been attempting to retake the area to help save Gaia from the threat of the worm. But there have been quite a few obstacles in the way and quite a few challenges that they have had to face. Challenges that they've had a few victories, but they've also had a few setbacks. Some setbacks that have been caused by the Kindred and forces beyond their control, but some setbacks that they have caused themselves, and some setbacks that they have brought upon themselves. However, in some of those victories, they have made steps forward. They have grown as a pack and as individuals, and they have had to overcome challenges that have caused them to grow as Guru and as people. But they've also found themselves facing challenges that have caused them to take steps back. Jester, for example, faces challenges of her past, present, and future that have taken her back emotionally to a place of depression, possibly even Hirano, that have put her in a state where she may not be of a great deal of use to the pack and may have to overcome some obstacles herself, for she was in a state of catatonic uselessness to a certain degree, that the spirit of Ryder had to take control of her body for almost a week in order to prevent Baines from possessing her and taking control of her, which could have been very, very disastrous for the pack as a whole had that happened. But thankfully, due to the efforts of the pack, she was able to be restored to her body, but she still has a long way to go before she can become the Jester that everyone once knew and loved. But hopefully, she can make some strides toward that tonight. But the battle rages on, and the pack must make efforts to continue forward in their struggle to overcome the Tampa Camarilla. And yet, there's still the spirit of Rat, who was sent out to spy upon Bloody Mary, to gather intel about the Tampa Camarilla, and is on their way to report back with their findings. But when they returned to where they thought the cairn of the Guru was to be found, they found a desolate spiritual wasteland instead, because the cairn had been sacrificed by the Guru to the spirit of storm to appease it. So will the spirit of Rat be able to find the Guru? Well, it is a particularly resourceful spirit. I'm sure it will be just fine. Also, Aspen has been given a particular challenge by Charles, the representative of her mentor, Matthias Morningkill of the Silver Fangs, who has said that she needs to prove that she is a worthy leader, that all of her decisions have been worth it, that following her is worth it. Because if not, he will have to stand with the nation against her for her actions and her decisions, against the pack for their decisions, which have, in many eyes, been an insult to the nation in breaking the litany, in breaking their oaths, in the sacrifice of the cairn. All this and more is to be determined in the coming weeks. But of course, I couldn't tell this story alone, because it is a very, very intense and emotional story. I would need some pretty incredible players to tell this story. So let's introduce those players now. Players, say hello and introduce yourselves, if you please.
Hey everybody, my name's Preston. I play Aiden Goodspeed, the Arun of the Galestalkers.
Hi, everybody. I'm Champ Champagne, the Good Witch of the South, because I'm popular. But I will be playing Aspen Weiss, Phyllodox of the Silver Fangs.
Hi everybody, I'm Noree, and I'll be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hi, everybody. I'm Walks, and I will be playing Lucas Shaw, the Ragabash of the Shadow Lords.
Champ, while Charles may be full of loathing for Aspen right now, I have nothing but unconditional love for you. So I will rate that a top grossing movie in North America for your introduction today. So let's get to our story. With that recap, the pack has been through quite an ordeal. But there's a lot of good that's still being done. Lucas has a bit of a plan of his own that he's started to unfold as he has started to develop a bit of an underground movement. He spoke to Aspen some weeks ago that while Matthias had plans for the upper echelon of society, for the business world in the downfall of the Tampa Camarilla to come, what about the underground? Because Lucas knows that the leeches have their fingers in a lot more pies than just the upper crust, the government, the agencies of note and repute. Something has to be done about the underground. And if Aspen is going to retain any kind of control over the area, someone has to have some kind of control about the darker side of the area. And Lucas, with a plan to try and assert some of that control, means to try and learn more about the underground. But to do so, he's going to need some contacts. And being not from the area, he's going to need to learn more about that. So tonight, in our first story of the evening, Lucas seeks to make good on a deal that he had proposed some months ago. Now, Lucas, you had proposed an arrangement with the Thin Blood Spud where you were going to procure some fertilizer in exchange for some information. Now, knowing of the needs of the botanical gardens where your friend Louisa works, this could be a two birds, one stone situation. But you also had an idea where you could potentially learn a little bit more and maybe rub shoulders a little further with the Thin Blood as well. What's your plan this evening?
So, by himself, Lucas assumes that he's capable of doing just about anything because that's who Lucas is. But he wants to see exactly what these not quite leeches are capable of. So we're going to try to drag Spud along with us to do this heist.
So as you arrive outside of the dingy, run-down motel on the outskirts of Tampa, what time of day would you be arriving? When would you come to propose this endeavor to Spud?
Probably right about sunset.
Would you give him any advance notice that you were coming, or would you just show up?
I think he'd give him the courtesy of an advance notice. I want to make sure he's there.
Would you let him know what your intentions are before showing up, or would you just say you were dropping by for a visit?
Oh no, I'm just dropping by for a visit.
Okay. So as you arrive at the dingy motel outside of Tampa, just before dusk, the parking lot has a few run-down vehicles outside. You come to the motel door, giving a rap, and the curtains part, where you see a raccoon, a rather overweight raccoon, peer their head just beyond the curtain. They stare at you for a few moments before ducking back behind the curtain. And a moment later, you hear the heavy plywood or the 2x4 moved from the door after several locks get turned and a chain get removed from the door. And then a moment later, the door is opened and you see the face of Spud, the Thin Blood. Long red wizard's cap draped off to the side. Lucas!
Spud.
Come on in! Swings open the door and immediately your nose is assaulted by the fumes of heavy chemicals, odors of burnt, toxic fumes. It is unpleasant to say the least, but familiar from your previous visits. The raccoon has crawled itself up onto Spud's shoulder, but it looks like it weighs heavily upon the Thin Blood's shoulder because the Thin Blood is very thin and gangly in his appearance, and the raccoon is very heavy and thick, heavier than a regular raccoon would appear to be. So he kind of leans as the raccoon is perched on his shoulder, almost draped across his shoulders. So what can I do for you? You got my fertilizer?
Two things real quick. first off, you should switch him to diet. Just a suggestion. I'm not judging. I just think that maybe some health concerns there. He seems nice, you know. Anyway, number 2 is they make really good filters that you could like use on the ventilation here. Somebody's
Oh.
gonna smell that.
I just don't even think about it. When you don't have to breathe, you don't consider these things really. But I also find it has a great opposing effect to keep people from coming knocking and asking questions. So it's a good repellent as well. But I'll take your word for it. Didn't know you were a veterinarian.
When one tends to care.
Oh, right. Yeah, that makes sense, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, good advice. I'll consider it. Although this one, he kind of takes what he wants. He doesn't really take advice. But what can I do for you?
So yeah, you mentioned the fertilizer. I have a good lead on a place, a small little mom and pop growery that mostly doesn't leave their stuff protected. And this is going to be the really high-end organic stuff too. So if that's what you were looking for, I thought maybe as a goodwill gesture between the two of us and future endeavors, you might want to tag along.
You thought that I would want to go with you on the thing you're supposed to be doing for me for the information that I'm supposed to be giving you.
Yes.
So me doing more for you for the thing you're supposed to be doing for me, for the thing I'm doing for you.
I understand where you're coming from. Let's also put something else on the table. Maybe a bit of a talk while we drive there, a little information exchange, maybe a possible future business endeavor.
You have more information for me?
I think, in light of where me and my friends are driving this beat up, shitty car, that there might be some extra seats along the way that somebody could sit in and possibly profit off of.
Well, I had a previous conversation with Blondie about this, where if I stayed out of her way, she would stay out of my way. And we kind of had already an agreement that would be hunky-dory after all was said and done. So if we're talking about extra seats on the bus, are you talking about more of an incentive beyond that, or are you talking about the same arrangement? Because if I've already made that arrangement, you're not really incentivizing me here.
Fair. Those are exceptionally fair statements and questions. Let's just say I had a conversation with my boss, Blondie, and I've been given carte blanche to operate in lesser respectable realms. Namely, I have concerns about what happens in the city once we do what we do and holes begin popping up in certain less than reputable organizations. Power loves a vacuum, and I think you and me both understand what that means.
Well, I'm from Jacksonville. Lesser respectable realms is my birthplace. So, okay, I get what I'm picking up what you're laying down. I gotta tell you, you're potentially treading into some pretty dangerous territory. I mean, you were already walking through a minefield by talking about taking on the tower of sorts, but there are those that area you're looking into extends further than just beyond the city here. There are those who have interests that don't care if the local politicians fall. They don't care about any of that. They care more about the area at large. See, kings and queens come and go. Those with business interests, the merchants, if you will, their business wouldn't be interrupted by all that. But if you start messing with their business, you're going to get a lot more attention on a bigger scale. So if you're looking about getting involved with that, you might be in for a much bigger fight than you're expecting.
You know how there's different kinds of you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
there's
way more about that.
yeah. There's different kinds of us guys too. And we operate in a lot of different ways. I imagine probably like you guys operate too, and you have specialties and areas of influence. And I mean, I'm from Chicago. I've dealt with your kind for a long time. Maybe not like your kind. No offense. You understand what I'm saying? Still trying to get a handle on what you
Assuming
say.
you don't have like half you guys.
No, it's pretty much an all or nothing thing with us. But that's what I've said. No offense.
That's all right.
But the type that I am, we don't like to be kings and queens. We actually try to actively avoid being kings and queens. We like to be the ones moving the pieces, making sure the kings and queens are safe and that the rest of the pieces do their job. I think what I want to do is not be the one in charge. I want to put somebody up that I have control over.
So Blondie.
That's for our thing. When it comes to what I'm talking about, I need to find somebody, maybe not necessarily that I can trust, but somebody that I could easily scare the shit out of to make do what I want. Not you. I have a little bit more respect for you than that.
I mean, you do scare the shit out of me. You can get all fangy and clawy, and I am not prepared for that.
I mean, when you said I'd be in for a fight, yeah, that's what we do. So that's not the part that scares me. I just want to make sure that if I need to pull resources, that I can pull them from this particular group of people, but not necessarily be the one that takes the flack when shit goes wrong.
Okay. So
And I'm gonna
you want a gang. You want an underground group. Well, I got to tell you, there were a lot more of those a few years back, but there was a bit of a, I guess you could call it a gang war about a year, 2 years ago. See, there was a bit of a thing across the bay that happened, a bit of a dust up over some missing girl. Some Italians, mafia types from New York came down, had a bit of a beef about some mafia princess that went missing. Apparently she had, well, you know how they do. Spring break girl winds up in a body bag type deal. Something like that, I'm guessing. Well, the mafia types didn't take to it too well, and they sent down some people, and, well, the local gang types, you can guess which kind, Arriba Andale, they didn't like that very much either. And, so well, let's say Godzilla and Mothra almost came to blows. and all the little guys almost got stepped on. In fact, a lot of them did get stepped on in the process and absorbed. Luckily, it didn't quite come to that, and a peace was arranged, a truce, if you will, thanks to some supernatural involvement. And the Italians went home. Well, the cartel, they ended up pretty much eating everything else up, taking full control of the area. Now, there's a couple of small groups left, but very few that aren't still in the cartel's pocket. And I gotta tell you, the cartel, they are connected to us, unsurprisingly. And by us, I mean, you know. And I mean really well connected. And that connection goes pretty deep. You stir that, you're going to be shaking a tree that goes very, very far. So there's not a lot that happens around here that they don't hear about. Now, you could possibly get together a group. There are a few that maybe run small, run silent. Some that haven't quite gotten noticed by the cartel yet. But they will, if they get big enough, if they get loud enough. Depends on what kind of business you start doing. If you get into the harder drugs, that's where you're going to start to get noticed. I've managed to go unnoticed because I do more of the party scene. And I stay small in my operations. And I can have a pretty forgettable face if I need to.
A neat trick.
When I need it, I use it.
Okay.
But I also pay my dues if I have to. If they come asking, I'll pay. Because I know not to mess with that particular flower. He's very thorny.
Fascinated to meet this individual. Okay,
No,
so
you're not.
Maybe. What if you didn't have to pay anymore? What if when this person sent their goons around, we sent back a Ziploc bag?
There's always more goons.
Yeah, there is. Unless you give them a better deal.
Well, he is a businessman.
I don't want to live in a mansion on the coast and drive a Bugatti or any of that shit. I don't want that stuff. I want a little bit to put away to give to me and my friends when we need it. This isn't for me. I don't want that life. But I want to have control over that so that when I need it, I have it.
Well, clearly you're not above or below working with the other side.
No, unlike the rest of my friends.
Are they going to be okay with you doing that? And for how long?
Carte blanche.
Okay. Well, I know that the local big boss of the cartel has no particular love for the politics of Tampa. Let's put it that way. He's more of a free thinker, a little less restrictive. He's not going to care what happens to the tower types. But he will care how his business is impacted eventually. So, you won't hear from him until the fallout. When that starts to come, that's when he'll come knocking. Now, if you want to get out ahead of that, I could possibly get you a meeting with him before that. But I would tell you he's a man with an ego. And if you play to that, you'll go a lot further than if you come with threats and if you come with claws and fangs. Because he is not easily scared.
That's fair. I mean, I'm not claws and fangs first, like some of my kind anyway, so.
Okay. Well, if that's what you want to do, that's something that could be arranged. But yeah, I think you've got some time. I think it's better to get out ahead of it. Personally, that'd be my advice. Better to appeal to him first rather than to have him come angrily expecting something.
Okay. Yeah, I'll run that one up the chain, and I'm pretty sure we'll arrange something. We could absolutely continue this conversation in my truck.
Roll me a charisma and persuasion or manipulation and persuasion. I will give you an extra bonus die, though, because you've already gotten him talking more than he probably should be.
Right. 2 successes on the rage dice. That's it.
Okay. Fine. Give me a second. I'm gonna grab a few things just so you don't get me killed.
Oh, I'm not gonna get you killed, trust me. But I am very curious about what things you're gonna grab and what they do.
Oh, you're gonna like this. He walks over to a nightstand and pulls out a drawer, and from the drawer he grabs a metal flask that looks all dented and busted up with a screw top on it. He grabs a old Mountain Dew bottle, which seems to be filled up with a smoky, cloudy liquid. The label has been mostly peeled off. He grabs a cigar where most of the end has been burned down, the other end slightly chewed on. Sets that down. He grabs a large Magnum revolver that he sets on the table, and he grabs a single halogen light tube. He also grabs a JanSport backpack and takes the few items, shoving it in the backpack, zipping it up, and slinging it across his shoulder, and takes the light tube and just kind of slings it across his shoulder. All right, ready when you are. What do you say, Pip? You up for a ride? The raccoon looks at him, looks at you, shakes its head, and then leaps off his shoulder and runs over and under one of the beds. Although, as it gets to the bed, it thunks against the bed and takes a few minutes to wriggle and squeeze underneath the bed, its body almost flattening out slightly to try and squirm underneath the bed. Its tail, butt, and two legs still sticking out from behind as it's not fully able to get underneath the low motel bed. Guess it's just the two of us on this one. Well, let's go.
All right, MacGyver, let's get out of here.
The two of you make your way out to your pickup truck. He climbs in the passenger seat. And as he does so, he takes the cigar and sticks it in his mouth and just chews on it idly. And you can hear the flicking of a Zippo in one hand as you get in and start to drive.
So, what is all this for?
Precautions.
Just how you do your little things.
Some of them. Could be helpful to me, could be helpful to you, could be helpful to us. Depends on if we run into any trouble or not.
Maybe we'll both get a peek up each other's skirt tonight.
Maybe. Now, you had already made some preparations in advance of this particular operation. You'd scouted out a few places. You looked at a few of the big box stores. They had a decent supply, but it wasn't the quality you were looking for. So you checked out some more of the local places. You looked at some of the places where compost could be made, some of the operations where people would drop off their scraps, some of the at-home operations, but they required a little bit too much maintenance, a little bit too much work on your end to gather. But you did eventually find one of these smaller local operations, a local nursery. Not a lot of security, a little bit more remote, a little bit more on the outskirts. Definitely not a place that's going to require cameras, and a place with a lot of access and ease. This isn't a place that's going to have a lot of buildings nearby. This is definitely a farm operation. So as you arrive, probably half hour or so later, you park off a nearby dirt road. And as you put the car into park, it's definitely grown dark by this point as the nights have gotten earlier. The days have gotten shorter. Killing the engine and the headlights, you're submerged into utter darkness. And at this point, Spud reaches into the backpack, and you see him pull out the Mountain Dew bottle, and he shakes it up, unscrews the cap, and takes a drink. And as he takes a drink of the fluid, he swishes it around a little bit in his mouth and gulps and blinks a few times. And after blinking, you see a glow permeate from behind his glasses, his sunglasses. And his glasses, which are red in pigmentation, seem to glow a dull red from behind the glasses. But the glasses seem to mute the glowing. After that, he opens the door and hops out of the truck.
I'll open the door, and as I'm stepping out, I'll activate Eyes of the Owl and get that yellow predator sheen in the eyes, and I'll turn back and look to him and smile. Say, we both got our tricks tonight.
I guess so. Just as obvious for both of us, too. That's why I wear the sunglasses. You might consider something similar.
That's not a terrible idea. I hadn't thought of that. Good tip.
It's kind of a dead giveaway when you're around the normies.
Yeah, well, hopefully we won't run into that. I don't think they have any cameras here, which is good because I won't have you have to chew on a spider egg sac tonight.
Ugh.
It's a thing. talk about that later. All right, let's head in there. And then, really, that's gross for you? Really?
Yeah. That's what you guys do?
Well, I mean, I have to. It's about making deals. It's a thing with spider spirits.
Is everything all weird and nature garbage stuff for you? Like,
Well, I
do you
mean,
eat cow poop and stuff?
What-
To appease the cow spirit of manure?
I don't know. I'm not a spirit guy. I don't know if there is a cow spirit, but there probably is something. It's fine. It's fine. We'll go. It was an owl spirit that I had to talk to get this.
Oh, great bull spirit, help me lie better and give me your dookie. Is that a
I
thing?
mean, it's a gross oversimplification, but it's something like that. Yes.
People call me weird. All right, let's do this.
Yep.
So, you head out into a nearby pasture. How do you want to approach? Do you want to continue in through the field or do you want to go along the road?
We'll continue across the field.
Okay.
I feel like if anybody's paying attention, it'll be on the road.
Make a dexterity and stealth check.
Two successes.
Okay. So sticking to the field, you move until eventually you hit a line of crops. And getting down low, you start to move through some of the crops as well. Now, it is after the harvest as it has started to get cold. So the crops are pretty much mowed down rather low. So it's not giving you a great deal of cover, but the dark is giving you plenty of cover. There is not a lot of ambient light out here. And it has been quite a bit cloudier lately, which is not casting a lot of light from the moon up above. So you are able to stick primarily to shadow and stay unseen as you move closer to this, for all better terms, a farm property on the outskirts of Tampa. Getting closer, you approach and you see that there is primarily just a wooden fence that lines the outskirts of the property. You do know that there is a wire fence that lines the inside of the property as well. Roll me a wits and investigation as you get closer to the inside.
Three successes.
Approaching the fence as you examine it, you see that the wooden fence primarily provides the structure. The wire fence that's along the inside appears to be chicken wire that is attached to the wooden post fence on the outside. But the extra detail you notice is that there seems to be another additional wire that is looped through the chicken wire. And it appears to be electrified. It would have gone by probably unnoticed otherwise if you hadn't been paying attention.
How tall is the fence?
It looks to be about 4 feet tall. Now, this is
Alright.
probably to keep critters primarily from coming close. Maybe dogs, coyotes, anything like that. But it would provide an uncomfortable shock to anybody who touched it. A deterrent, at least.
I'll point it out to Spud. You think you can slip through that, or you want me to give you the old toss?
He walks up. Goes into the backpack, pulls out a glove, puts the glove on, reaches out, touches the wire, and immediately it sparks. why don't you go over? I'm going to follow this around. I have an idea.
Okay. All right. I will use Hair's Leap. So I need a
Okay.
rage check. And my rage is good. And so 2 successes, so that's a 6-meter vertical jump.
Okay, easily enough. You hop over from one side to the other. Now you're inside the pen itself. You can see that there is a barn on the far side of the pen. This appears to be a feed lot where they let animals move about freely with inside the pen. This is also a place where they probably gather a great deal of manure and excrement to make some of the fertilizer that they provide. You could see at the far end outside of the barn are also the compost bins where they help to create some of the fertilizer they manufacture as well. There are a couple of animals that are sleeping outside of the pen currently, but they will probably be startled as you approach the barn if you make too much of a noise approaching.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna shift. No, I'm gonna hold on that. I'll start making my way in, trying to stay quiet, looking for the the actual like barrels or sacks that they use to store the fertilizer.
Okay, give me a dexterity and stealth.
Five successes.
5 successes. Moving so quietly, you make your way towards the barn, slipping through the sleeping animals, gently tiptoeing your way around them. They do not stir at all as you are completely silent, making your way through. The stink gets heavier and heavier the closer to the barn you get. You don't notice any sacks, but you do see implements and tools nearby for the purposes of gathering. You approach the barn and you see that there is a barn door that is closed, leading into the barn itself. As you approach the barn door, you see that there is a padlock hanging from the barn door, and it is locked.
Take out the lockpicks.
Okay. Give me a dexterity and larceny.
Four successes.
With quick and nimble fingers, manipulating the lockpicks, eventually you hear the click as the lock disengages, sliding it gingerly aside. You slowly and quietly, using your stealth check, open the barn door. Inside the barn is primarily a storage room. Now, it does look like there is space and stalls for the animals as well, that they could bring them through, and maybe some animals could be stored within if it gets cold enough. The nights have been getting colder, but they haven't gotten so cold to put them away just yet. But as you make your way in, you do see that there is a nice large pile of fertilizer bags off to one side. But they are wrapped up on a pallet, looking like they could be loaded up onto a truck. Now, you do know that there is a actual store, like an actual storefront room beyond this stock room, but it shares space with what you're guessing is the house, kind of like attached, like almost like a room in between the house and the barn. like a walk-through breezeway room.
How? It's a big load of fertilizer on a wrapped up pallet.
Yeah.
Like, definitely more than a person can carry.
For sure.
Maybe more than a Krynos guru could carry?
More than a Krynos guru could carry? Probably not.
That's risky. All right, I'm gonna kind of stay crouched by the door and kind of keep a lookout and give a little bit of time for Spud to catch up.
Okay. How long would you wait?
I'd say probably somewhere around 10 minutes is respectable.
Okay. As you stay crouched by the door, give me a wits and awareness check.
Three successes.
You hear some movement coming from the storefront area as somebody opens the door from the house area, moving into the storefront, heading towards the storeroom area.
Start slowly making my way through the barn closer to that area just to see if I could spot something.
Okay. Give me another dexterity and stealth.
Five successes.
Okay. Moving behind several of these pallets, most of them containing feed of various varieties, you duck down low behind the pallets in time to see the doors to the store itself open up, and a man easily in his mid to late 50s, hair thinning atop his head, wrinkles splayed across his face, very, very weathered skin, overalls, buttoned up shirt, long sleeves, heavy, thick iron-toed boots, make his way out into the storeroom, turn on some lights overhead where big work lights come on, and he moves over to a heavy wooden counter by a big roll-up door and start kind of going over some paperwork by the desk.
What does it look like? He's looking for paperwork? Does it look like he's doing paperwork?
It looks like he's doing paperwork.
It's gonna take forever. And he's in this. He's in the storefront, or he's in the same building as I am?
He's in the same building you are. He's in the like kind of the storeroom delivery area.
Time for patience. I'll step back against the wall and turn on blissful ignorance.
Okay. And go ahead and describe what that does.
So blissful ignorance allows me to stand perfectly still, expenditure of a willpower, stand perfectly still, and I become a difficulty 5, which is my wisdom +2, to spot as I blend in with everything around me.
Okay. Easily enough, stepping back further behind the pallets against the wall, you fade into the shadows, becoming even more difficult to see, blending into the surrounding. The man continues to work away, grabbing another clipboard off of a nail on the wall, marking off, double-checking counts. He moves over to a pallet, pulling off a couple of bags of feed, setting it onto another pallet, looking like he's preparing an order. Roll me another wits and awareness.
Four successes.
20 or 30 minutes go by of this man seeming to prepare an order. You haven't seen any sign of Spud until you see the barn door that you had come in open again. But as the barn door opens, a swirling cloud of smoke comes in through the barn door. Just like a rolling cloud of heavy, thick cigar smoke starts to come in. The man turns to address the open door. Huh? Who's there? When nobody responds, the man reaches underneath the counter and pulls out a rifle. I said, who's there? He starts to move towards the cloud of smoke. And after a moment, a pole comes out of the cloud of smoke and strikes him in the chest. A wire wrapped around the pole hits him, and a shock zaps him in the chest, causing him to jerk and drop to the ground. From this cloud of smoke, you hear Spud's voice go, "Time's money, pal. Let's get the shit and go."
I'll step out of the shadows and look down at the guy and look at the smoke. It's a good trick, MacGyver. All right, let's get it.
I knew the fence was useful.
Yeah, that's... I got somebody that you should meet. He loves doing weird things with electricity. At least I think he does. He might. Anyway, yeah. Is there a wheelbarrow anywhere nearby?
Oh yeah, easily enough to find. Yeah, you can find a wheelbarrow or one of those like dollies. Like, it's very easy to find pretty much anything you need in the barn for transporting.
All right, I'm gonna shift into Galabro, and I lose a rage, and start loading as much as I can onto that wheelbarrow, overloading it more than I think a normal person would be able to carry, testing it, getting as much on there as I can carry on the wheelbarrow, and yeah, start trying to get it out to the fence line to toss it over.
Okay. Give me a strength and athletics to kind of wheel this heavy wheelbarrow full of these big sacks, these big, probably 50, 60-pound sacks of this fertilizer out, because this is like industrial amounts of fertilizer, not the kind of home fertilizer sacks that you would expect.
Yeah. 3 successes.
3 successes. It's a bit of an effort to keep the wheelbarrow stable as you're not rolling it over like a nice smooth concrete surface, but you're able to muscle your way across the fields. As you're doing so, the cows are firmly awake at this point. The animals that are out in the field are firmly awake, and they're mooing and kind of moving out of the way. Something about the smoke and Spud repels them. Just his presence being near him seems to repel them. They are very uncomfortable at the presence of him, unnerved by the presence of him, to the point that they're backing up and snorting and kind of stomping their hooves a little bit in the dirt as he passes through the middle of them, moving over towards the fence line. As you start to chuck the bags over the fence, you notice that a lot of the wire has been clipped, like all the wire along the fence line has been clipped, and a lot of the wire, like the chicken wire fence, is kind of broken up and wire like rolled up along the edge of the fence line as the wiring has been removed or pulled out of the fence line.
Once we get most of it over, I'm gonna turn and look at Spud and say, "Hey, so half of this is yours. Do we need to get more?"
He looks over and counts the bags. No, that should do. This is a lot
All right.
bigger than I expected. I was like thinking you were gonna go to Home Depot or something and buy a few bags. This is much more than I bargained for. Yeah, this should last me a good while.
All right. Let's go get the truck and get this stuff in there.
Okay. So easy enough. There's not much resistance to be had as you grab the truck and pull it around down the road to near the fence line, grabbing the bags and loading them up into the back of the truck before climbing in and driving away. Is there anything else you wish to say to Spud as you drive back to the motel to drop him and his bounty off?
Yeah. Spud, listen, I'm not trying to make any kind of weird play on what you have going on. I just want to make that perfectly clear.
What do you
We as what we are, we're probably not what you think we are.
Werewolves.
Okay, so maybe that was a terrible statement. We're not here for the reasons you think we're here.
Kill
Yeah.
vampires.
That is a very actually that's a very small thing as opposed to the whole thing that we have going on. Like, look, that the world is shit. You know the world is shit. I know the world is shit, and we're kind of like trying to make it better. That's our whole job.
Did you see the election?
Yeah. Well,
Good fucking luck, pal.
we should sit down and have a beer and have a long conversation about other things that go bump in the night some night. We'll do that at some point. But what I'm trying to say is, like, look, I'm not in this for selfish reasons. So, and I don't want what you have. I want you to understand that if I could get this thing going, the shit that gets dealt on the streets in this city changes to an all natural thing. The trafficking, it goes the fuck away. The senseless murders, it goes the fuck away. I'm not trying to be this fearful, ridiculous overlord. I want to make the people's lives better. And if I have to break a few fucking eggs, just know you're not going to be one of those eggs.
Let me explain something to you, Lucas. I've been dealt a shit hand my entire life. I was a drug dealer before I became this. Not because I wanted to be. Not because I thought it would be fun. Not because I thought it was a glamorous career choice. Because it was a means to an end, a way to survive. I don't feel good about what I do. But I also know that for some people, it's the only joy they get. It's their escape. It's the only thing that keeps them warm at night. It's really easy to look down on drug addicts. It's really easy to look down on the disenfranchised. To say, oh, if they had ambition, or if they cleaned themselves up, life would be so much better. But I know plenty of people who have ambition and who are clean, who are as miserable as even the most run-down individuals, maybe even more so. because they can't pay their mortgage, because they have to work 3 jobs. So who am I to judge somebody if I can give them a little bit of comfort, a little bit of escape? I would rather give them that than judge them or see them be judged. I don't judge anybody for doing what they have to do to make this shit world a little bit brighter. I admire what you want to do. And while sometimes I think that it's a fruitless effort, that the world's just going to continue being what it's going to be, I'm glad there are people like you who still try. Because once there stop being people like you, well, I guess it really is over.
Yeah. I knew I liked you. Let's get this shit back to your house. I gotta drop off the other half at some friends.
Yeah. So you drive back to the motel. You unload the fertilizer, bringing it into Spud's motel room where he has you take it into the bathroom. Loading the sacks by the bathtub, which seems to be filled with some disgusting concoction. Hard to tell what it is, but it stinks to high hell. He leads you out to the front door. You see Pippin has somehow wormed his way out from under the bed and is now up on top of one of the beds under the blankets in a big lump. Well, Lucas, this was fun. Let me know if you need anything else, and good luck with your crusade.
Stay in touch, Spud. Stay in touch.
You too.
I'll head out.
With that, he closes the door, secures the locks, and you can hear the heavy 2x4 slide into place once more as you climb back into the truck. What's going through your head as you drive away from the motel, having had this encounter with the thin blood once again?
Lucas is calculating the threat that could be Spud if Spud decided to pursue his own interest, but he's also exceptionally interested in what he had to say about the big player in the area. If the cartel is as deeply entrenched as Spud is saying, this might not be the walk in the park that Lucas thought it was going to be. So it's a bit of a reality check for him.
With those thoughts going through your mind, we move on to our next scene. 2 friends having a much needed check-in. Aspen, after your interaction with Charles, bit of a confrontation, some Silver Fang business that needed doing. He made an interesting point to say that he owed Aiden a promise. While he owed no more allegiance to the pack, at least not at this time, considering your broken oath and your breaking of the litany, he still was going to uphold his promise, a matter of honor to Aiden. And with that in mind, it made you curious, what was this promise to Aiden? So with that in your head, you prompt a conversation with Aiden. Where would you want this conversation to take place? Okay. Okay, so as you head to the storage unit, you make sure to arrange it that it's at a time where you and Aiden could meet by yourselves. Hang on, let me make sure that this is... Oh, okay. Let me fix that. So you arrange to meet at the storage unit with just you and Aiden, making sure that nobody else is present. And in doing so, Aiden, you arrive, having been called to confer with Aspen. The scene is yours.
He'll go through the door and shut in like, "Hello."
Hi.
When are we gonna get out of this thing?
Yeah, we gotta work on that. Kind of need to have the other place ready first.
Fair, yeah. How you been though? It's been a bit. All these other talks, you've been leader, so
Yeah, it's rough, buddy. It's not fun, but doing what I have to do. I'm sure you're sick of these four walls.
yeah. The day going out to find the new place, that was the most fun I've had in a while. So the sooner we can get that done and we can be out there, the better.
Well, maybe we start doing that soon. Maybe we start moving stuff out that way, and we can deal with the logistics later. But at least having something set up there might be a good idea.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't be too hard. Like I said, there's a little river that runs through, but I'll carry all the bags you have. You got it.
I expect that. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured as much. I got a call from Terrence. He's doing really well. Okay, that half truth. He's doing okay. The hurricane that rolled through and stuff hit them, but not like terribly. But he was just calling to check in and stuff. Has anyone else reached out to you about what's happened at all?
Not particularly. No, not to me. I had a conversation with Charles, but it's I'm not looking forward to it, so I'm not gonna go making calls right now.
Okay. I want to say that I'm scared, worried, I think is the word. Uh Terrence said he knew what happened, and I don't quite get that. Other than like he said, there's a part of him that got ripped out. So I have a concern that I'm bringing to you more, and as a friend, not a leader, just as a friend. We might be getting more calls about stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it is a whole big spiritual event, so I'm sure everybody has their connections here, and Charles is not happy, and I'm sure Matthias is not happy, and I'm sure the rest of whoever came are not happy. I'm glad Terrence's conversation went well.
He's
Probably,
just worried more than anything.
yeah, we got a lot of atoning to do in the future.
Yeah.
Kind of just need to be on our best behavior. I'm hoping that if we can get done what we need to get done and eventually get the leeches out and show that we're putting in the work, it'll all be worth it and it won't come to us out on our own. I mean, that's how it's been, but the goal was something different, so we'll see. A lot of moving parts.
Yeah. Well, you're doing great. The position that we were put in, or that you were put in to have to make that choice. Just know I may not agree with you on things, but in the meetings, I will back whatever you say. I might have a conversation with you separately to let you know, like, hey, I think, but this one, I think we had no other real choice. Giving up something for, like the clave, no, definitely not Regina, and the Karen just made more sense. Whatever ends up coming here, I got you. You're gonna be just fine.
You do know we broke the litany doing that. Well, I broke the litany doing that. And,
That's still a we.
and broke the oath I made when we built that cairn all together. So that's not a great look for us, I guess, but also me.
No, but you did uphold another part, though, of trying to make things better here. And in order to make things better here, something had to be removed. But the new place is going to be better once we get it up and going. And that's just something that they're going to have to get through their heads. Like that spot that was there, like we had no other. It's either get rid of that or Storm takes out more of it just gets real big and angry and makes it worse. So there's no way to win in that. So I think between the options, I think we made the right choice, even though it was you ultimately, but we all back you in it.
Yeah. It's just there's going to be a lot more reprimands, I'm sure, in the future before there's going to be any goodwill towards us for a while, because even thinking of the other cairn, we'll build it and that'll be great and people will see that and that'll be wonderful. But if anybody finds out that we came across it and built it unconventional in the eyes of the nation, that's going to be its own problem as well. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario, and we just keep it moving.
Yeah. Well, and if Matthias is mad, that's his forte. And if Charles is mad, that's just him in general. So I think that's fine. And whatever, like I think it'll take care of itself. Like, and with you being at the head of it, we're all good.
Yeah, I think we should give at least Charles and Matthias some credit. They've been doing what they can to help us here. I mean, they could do more, in my opinion, but the fact that they are doing anything at all is better than we've had.
It's some nation compared to the none that was here, so that's fair.
We'll see how long that lasts. Haven't had a conversation with Matthias yet, just Charles, and if that's any indication, it's gonna go real good.
Just do the really annoying thing where you just talk in circles a bunch till you just wear the person down and they eventually just give you what you want. That whole thing.
Yeah, but part of where I learned that from is who I'm gonna be talking to. So there's that as well.
Then you're screwed then. So
Yeah, he's much better at it than I am.
it's fair. Well, we can always go up there and pay him a little visit. If I don't know if a face to face would help, but that's one thing you said. Like sometimes the phone calls isn't as personable, and sometimes a face to face conversation goes off better than the phone one.
We'll see. I think mostly he's gonna be like listen to what Charles has to say from our conversation, kind of go off of that. I know he's busy too. He's actually had Charles doing a lot over here to close up some potential power vacuums that may come up once we get rid of the leeches here. So it's a lot of business and blah 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 and leader stuff. It's boring.
Well, do you need anything from me? Like, I don't want to do the leader thing, but anything I could take off of your plate to make it a little bit easier?
Well, I did want to pick your brain of what you think the best course of action with Bloody Mary is. What do you think we should be doing there?
Well, she's a predator, and best ways to hunt predators is to find out one where their hunting grounds are and stalk them there for a while, and then where the hunting grounds are, find out what their favorite form of food is, and then take that away. And then they'll have to migrate because trying to hunt a predator in its own area, it's not smart. So you have it go somewhere else. If we can lure her away from her regular areas, we would have the upper hand. The attacks that I've heard about, she's done them on her own terms. She's thinking the same way. She views us as predators. Although she did attack us at her home, so that's a bold move in itself. But she is very smart about when she attacks and how she does it. So we need to get the jump on her before she can get the jump on us. It's just really finding out where she's at. That's the hardest thing is no one can find her.
That is the problem. I mostly meant like tactically, because eventually it's going to come to blows, right? And I guess we don't have enough information to know, but just trying to pick your brain. That's not something I've ever been good at. You leave me to the leader stuff, I leave you to the fighting.
If I had to, I put the best fighters up against her. So myself, Jester, I know Lucas is handy with the clave, and we've been training a little bit here and there. What we need to utilize is attack and defend at the same time. That if possible, if I could probably wail on her a bit, but she's going to hit back. That's that's the thing. So if the others, like one of them can defend some blows and the rest of us are attacking, that should be best. Now if she has other people with her, that's where you and Artie could come in. If you guys could take care of the one thing outside so we can focus on Mary.
Fair. And we should probably hopefully have Charles there. And I don't know if we should have Eliza there. I mean, I don't disregard her abilities, but I also think she's far more of an asset to us, and I don't want to put her in harm. She's already been through enough, really.
Yeah, Mary's already done enough to her. And she can take a hit. She did prove that, and I talked to her about the whole contrition thing. Yeah. I apologize. I felt really bad about it. But I think her, if she wanted to be there, making sure that there aren't anything spiritual going on, like feeding into it, making our lives harder during that, if she had to be present. But if she could stay here in this lovely 4x4 nice secured area or at the cairn if we have it built, I think that'd be a better spot for her. And if Charles can be present, I know he's kind of hit and miss on things. Although all of our trainings, he's prompt on. He gets on me because I'm late, but I don't have a car. But it's whatever.
Well, hopefully those driving lessons start to stick soon.
Already said that I have a heavy foot, but it's his fault for showing me that Need for Speed game. I thought it could be practiced in light, and he kept saying no. But I think I can do it. It's just Regina also doesn't allow me to do that stuff. I think I can though.
Be nice to Regina. She's probably been through a lot trying to get you through driving.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, but no, that as far as Mary goes, I think that'd be one of our best courses. I would want to talk to the rest of the pack about it. I know Lucas has good insight on that, but I also think taking another stab at them, could we hit them once and we show them that they can be hurt, but we haven't done anything since. Like the hurricanes were happening, so I get that, but right now they're still on the recovery. I think us showing a form of strength would be wise.
I agree. I think that would be a good idea. Also, keeping them on their toes for sure.
Yeah, if we can keep them backpedaling, that'd be even better. We don't want them to get a foothold again.
Yeah, and if Charles can't be there, then maybe she can be with, or he can be with Liza and keep an eye on her, make sure, because I don't want us to be moving in and then it be a surprise hit somewhere else.
Yeah.
Speaking of Charles,
Mhm.
I told you, had a whole conversation. It went lovely. It was really great. He's a treat. He had mentioned something while we were talking, that he promised you something, that he made a promise to you and he intended on keeping it. And as far as I'm aware, you two aren't the best of friends. So what was all that about?
Well, there's the whole thing that he's gonna train me, like make sure that I can get to the place that he sees I can get to. Um, so like, I guess there's that.
He said it wasn't, he has no intentions of being part of the pact and being that involved. It was specifically you.
Uh, you know how Silver Fangs be.
I do, which is why I'm asking.
I there it was an overall idea that I had that if something were to come up with Mary and something happened with me, if he would stick around.
Like if you
A long
died?
term, yeah, a long, very long vacation where I don't come back. Yeah, I died. It's not
And
my plan. I just, you know, trying to play the chess thing.
yeah, that's definitely your forte. Um, mm, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be, but these fights keep getting harder, Aspen. Every single one. I just fought the storm, an actual storm. Um, Getting to a point where having to fight a vampire that can fight in daylight has taken out likes of Ryder and all these other people that I've heard about. These were renowned guru. I'm not. So it's just a overall contingency plan if something were to happen.
I don't know how many times I have to tell you this for you to listen. I can't do this without you.
You've I don't know how many times I have to say this. You can though. You literally can. You have the pack. So you can do this. I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave you by yourself. I don't want to put you in that situation. My job is to make sure that everyone is safe, to make sure everyone gets out. That's everyone. And then I can make my way. If I can make it out, awesome. But if it means putting myself on that line or lay down on the ground there to make sure that the pack survives and the lone wolf dies, that's how it is. That's how it's always been. The piece that's been punched into my skull is be the soldier. Be that one. Be the one going out.
You're not a soldier. You're not a soldier, Aiden.
Not yet. I'm getting there though.
I don't want you to be a soldier.
I don't want to be the soldier, but the one that can keep the pack safe and keep the dream alive here. The reason that we were called here to get this place back under control. The arranged job, we're the ones that are on the front lines. We're the one that usually will die first.
And then you die, and we all die because you're gone because...
No, because I have a plan in place now. Charles is a way better Arun than I am. The only reason he hasn't taken my spot yet is because I haven't messed up again, and I've been trying not to.
I'm just gonna say it as bluntly as I can because that's the best way you understand. That's stupid. You understand you're being stupid.
Okay, well then explain to me what you would prefer if we're losing, dying, retreating, and there's an opportunity for the rest of us to get out and not die. How would you like to proceed? And I will try my best to follow it.
If we have to retreat, we all retreat and we stick together. That's what we've been doing. It's not you go out there and make sure we all get away. That's not how we've ever done it. We all have our roles to play, and
Correct.
yours is not to go die.
Like I said, I don't want to die. That's not my plan. I want to be here. I want to watch this place grow and continue. But things happen. It's just, I don't know really how to explain it. If there comes a situation where we all can get out, of course. But if it comes down to the rest of you getting out and someone holding the line further to make the window, I'm that guy.
Well, by that means then I'm pack leader and I should make sure all of my pack get out, right? So if I die, I die.
No, you can't die. You're the connection to the nation. You are the pack leader. You are the set leader. You have to get out. That you have to make it.
I just don't like that you're making contingency plans.
It's a just in case, the fire extinguisher things smash in case of emergency. If something were to happen, I want to make sure the pack and you are safe.
Then I'm gonna make sure that that glass is bulletproof so we can't break it.
I might be able to break bulletproof glass.
It was kind of it doesn't matter. It just last possible scenario.
That correct. Yes, that is the plan. Is I will always try and make it out. But like I said, within the pack, if we're there and I agree or disagree during those meetings, I'll let you know separately. We're separate right now. If the time comes and you do make a direct order and I see a window for you guys to get out and I stay, that will be a disobedience and will be my third mess up at that time. And so Charles will be stepping in if that were to happen. But we don't have to worry about that because, like you said, I'm not going to die.
You better not.
I haven't yet. So I got close once, but I that was I slipped. Is what happened.
Well, don't slip, okay? We'll make
Yeah.
sure you've got nice shoes.
My boots work, kinda. But no, that was the promise, was that he'd just stick around if something were to happen.
You're gonna make me trade for him?
I'm trying to. I would prefer that he wasn't here at all, but he is here, and he is teaching me. He's showing me all these different things that I need to know to do the job better, to get to where the nation sees where I need to be to better this place off. And I wouldn't be able to do that without him. So he's been helpful. He's just bitter.
Don't like it, but fine.
I knew you weren't going to like it, and I don't like keeping things from you, so I wasn't going to tell you unless you brought it up. So
That's still a lie. Isn't it a lie by omission?
no, because you didn't bring it up, therefore I can't talk about it. And if we're gonna like clear the air on everything, we're gonna have a very long conversation on all the weird stuff I've done. Like starting back at Boise and the weird things that happened, and then going down the line.
We'll save that for maybe another time. Let's.
Okay.
I don't need to be angry.
No, just you be fun, happy Aspen until other things happen, and then you become grumpy, angry Aspen.
Yeah, I have too many other things to be angry about. Let's
Yeah,
let's
you
keep
don't
it
need to
for
be
that.
angry with me again. It's fine. The one time was good.
I think so.
Intentions are one thing, fate is another. As two friends spend the rest of the afternoon reconnecting, enjoying each other's company, while Aiden may not plan to be sacrificed in the fight against Bloody Mary, in the back of his mind, he knows the words of the spirit of the White Wolf. Either you or her will fall in the final fight. The choice is up to you. We'll be right back in just a few minutes with the second act of tonight's story.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaborations with our partnered vendors, Wolfpack Dice, Ember Fox Dice, Dragon Ink Dice, Bear the Bard, Champs Tramps, Penshi Artista, and Chromatic Creations. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpbynight.com. The official theme song for St. Petersburg by Night is Vampire by Faith and Failure. You could find them at faithandfailure.com. You can follow St. Pete by Night on all socials with the hashtag St. Pete by Night. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at coffee.com/St. Pete by Night to help keep the stories rolling.
Welcome back. In the first half, we saw Lucas and Spud pull a great fertilizer heist, and we saw Aiden and Aspen have a very much needed conversation about a promise that Charles made to Aiden. Now we find Jester. Jester, having been returned to her body of sorts after having spent a few days rather catatonic after the execution of her ex-boyfriend and former touchstone, Leon, after having found out that he was a ghoul to the Tampa Camarilla for quite some time. Jester, what has life been like after having been returned to awareness of a sort? What have the last few days been like for you?
Kind of switching between just unable to stop crying to wanting to sleep to can't sleep, and then it's just too much that I'll shift into lupus and just go wander through either Lettuce Lake or Hillsborough State Park.
While Chloe and Eliza have attempted to see to you, they also acknowledge when you need your space, even if they'll just sit with you for a time in silence or just leave you alone when need be, knowing not to push you further than is necessary, hoping not to send you back inward. On one particular afternoon, on one of those walks through the forest in lupus form, heading through the trees, the dapper sunlight coming through the leaves and the shadow. Roll a wits and awareness check. Now, because of your condition, I'd like you to take a die off of your pool, since you have not really been paying too much close attention to your surroundings, distracted in your own thoughts.
What rage am I at?
You would be at 1 rage.
One success.
It isn't until they are almost right on top of you, metaphorically speaking, that you notice the silver wolf striding almost directly next to you. Their form a bit larger than yours in feature. They keep pace with you, looking straight ahead, walking at about the same speed you are, maybe even a step slightly behind. Their attentive gaze sweeping around the surroundings until they eventually come to a stop, allowing you to walk a few steps ahead. Once you are about a full length ahead of them, they give a low growl, causing you to stop and turn. By the time you've fully turned, you see Charles in Hamid form, though he's not dressed in a full suit as usual. Instead, it's just the suit pants and a collared shirt, though the top couple of buttons are undone and the sleeves seem to be rolled up, standing in the woods.
I'll sit, stare at him for a few minutes, give a huff, and then I'll shift back to Hamid. Dressed in like usual dedicated clothes, which is like a tank top and a pair of gym shorts and hiking boots. My hair is a tangled mess. There are very deep shadows under my eyes and I look pretty pale.
What are you doing?
wondering.
For what purpose? Are you hoping that your enemies will find you, finish you off, put you out of your misery?
Is that why you came?
I came to put you out of your misery, yes, but not in the way you're thinking. I've been watching you for the last few days. It's sad, really, to see what you've become. But I can't say that I don't understand. Do you know why I dress like this?
Because you have expensive tastes?
No. Though being born and raised in Connecticut, one might say that. But no. I was taught from a very young age that, much like wolves, appearances are everything. We don't show weakness in any form to our prey. When I look the way I do, people see confidence, yes. They see arrogance, yes. They see one to be feared, yes. No matter what is happening behind my eyes, behind my emotionless face, that's all I'm willing to let them see. Because I am going to control the narrative. What do you think your prey sees when they look at you now, malicious Jester?
I don't know if I care.
You should care. You didn't stop being Guru. You didn't stop being a warrior for Gaia. You didn't stop being a member of your pack. You didn't stop being a rebel. You didn't stop being a Black Fury. When you executed that boy, you didn't stop being. Unless that's what you want. Because right now, what I see when I look at you is a broken, pathetic, lost, empty shell of a being. And that is what your enemies see also. That is what your pack sees. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel. I'm not saying you shouldn't hurt. I'm not saying there isn't healing to be done. All of those things and more lie ahead. But you, Galliard,
I'm tired. And what's the point? Just gonna die anyways.
then make it worthwhile. Make the time you spent alive worth it.
For who?
You. You're the one who told me, what's the point? Why do all the fighting? What's all the fighting for, right? Why am I serving? I told you so others don't have to, others like you.
But we do. Barely any of us see past our 20s. And many who do end up lost. How does this keep going? How do we win?
We don't give up.
How do we even break even? So we don't give up until we lose everything.
Yes.
And that's sustainable in your eyes. Losing Garu after Garu to either death or Hoglusk or Hirano.
Would you rather the alternative?
I don't see how, I'm starting not to see how we're not headed that way.
So we should just give up. Bring about the end quicker. Let the suffering commence immediately. Surrender ourselves to the worm.
I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore.
What you're experiencing right now, that's what you would be giving to every living being on this earth. Would you condemn them to that?
No.
That's why we fight. You're right. We pay a terrible price. Our lives are shorter. Our fight is endless. Because Gaia believes we're the ones to fight it. Because there's something about us, something special about us. What that is, I can't say. Trust me, there are some that even I wonder why they were chosen to fight this fight. Believe me, some even within your pack. But they were. And for that, I do not argue. Unfortunately, that is a matter that will have to be dealt with eventually. You know what they've done, don't you? I don't know how
No.
much you remember when you were in there.
Nothing past that night. And waking up.
The cairn is gone. Grandmother Willow is dead. That which was is now a spiritual wasteland, and your allies are likely now your enemies across the nation. And I am walking a thin line between ally and executioner. I'm hoping that it does not have to stay that way.
Why?
I want to believe in Aspen.
I take it this was the sacrifice.
Yes.
Shouldn't blame her, it was my idea.
Ideas and execution are two different things. When
didn't
other
see any-
alternatives were available, she chose for all of you. Like an alpha should. But was it the
What al-
right choice?
What alternatives? Last time I checked, we didn't have any.
There was the offer of the clave which you wield, and the spirit of the car. Instead, she chose to break the litany and her oath to the nation and to her pack. But I still, even after all of that, believe that there is hope for her yet. This is why we fight, Jester. If I can still have hope for her after all of that, you should still have hope as well.
I'm going to push through my grief for a moment. Take a deep breath. How much do you know about Artie? Or any of us, really?
Only what I've observed. Artie is unquestioningly loyal to Aspen. So much so that I would believe he would deny his own very moon. He is what one would expect of a glass walker. I believe the woods would break him if he were forced into them. But from what I know of his history, he has endured much independently. A survivor.
Yeah. He changed shortly after the sept fell here. No one to guide him. In fact, that car, the spirit you call it, was his only friend, family member for probably a decade before we came. I think Aspen knew sacrificing her would Probably destroy him.
But she had
And
no problem with you sacrificing your connection.
no, I think she had a problem with it, but there wasn't much of a choice, was there? Even you know it. I know it. He would
What
have
was
gone
the
back to
choice
them.
here? One spirit over many. One connection over all of the connections to the nation.
But we're not just connections or pieces of a soldiers to switch in and out like toys. Our pack is a family. All of us were orphans in one way. And when we found each other, we're a family. Aspen knows this. She treats us like that.
Then you would be there to help him through his grief.
Maybe. I mean,
And the sword. Then the sword.
yeah. Probably a better choice. I mean, it's just a sword, right?
It's a symbol, certainly. It's
It's a
more
prom-
than just a sword in the eyes of many, but I'm not here to argue the logistics of the choice. The choice is made. I just want you to know what you're walking back into.
And I'm
even
trying to
that,
make you understand why she made it.
I understand why she made it.
Do you?
Yes. Understanding was never the issue. Her loyalty is to the pack first, to the nation second.
That's the problem. Because
Because the nation is also the fight. And if her loyalty is to the pack before the fight, then just like you said, what's the point?
doesn't seem like much of a fight lately. Everybody's in their own separate ways.
I agree.
Even
That's what we've been
people-
working to fix, Jester. That's why I'm here. That's what Matthias is doing. That's why we all came from all over the country to build that cairn. That's why all the favors were called in. That's why reinforcements were coming to help.
We have reinforcements coming.
Yes, and Aspen knew this. I'm not here to dissuade you from returning to the pack or change your allegiances. I'm here because I was concerned for you. You're
concerned.
Yes, believe it or not. You need a shower, you need a good night's sleep, and you need to be the symbol that a Galliard should be, even with all the hurt you feel inside. You need to show what a Guru should be, what a Black Fury should be. And as for that pain and anger that you're feeling, that hurt that you're feeling, you have a fight to prepare for against a very deserving target. And you still haven't hit me.
Fine.
I owe your pack no allegiances until they've earned it. I've asked Aspen to show me something, to make me believe what she did was right.
And what will that take?
I don't know. But you did show me something. You did willingly sacrifice something because it was what was necessary. And you didn't make someone else do it even though I would have. You didn't try to save it even though you could have attempted to. You did what needed to be done. And for that, you have my respect. For that, you have my admiration. So you're coming home with me. And we're going to
What?
fix you up.
I have a place to stay.
You are not staying in a storage unit.
It's been fine these last few weeks.
Do I seem worth arguing with anymore?
I'd like to roll insight on how hard it would be to argue with him.
Go ahead.
Am I minus to die?
I think that he's probably sparked a little bit more fire in you. You seem to be a little bit more engaged.
Okay.
You've had a little bit more pushback in this conversation.
Spend a willpower. 3 successes.
He doesn't seem like he's going to take no for an answer, and he will probably physically take you.
Yeah, that's too much effort. Fine. Fine.
The car's waiting at the edge of the park. With that, he turns and starts to change into his lupus form.
I'll change back into Lupus. Follow behind him.
So you make your way to the car. Begrudgingly, you eventually climb in and make the drive to downtown Tampa, where you find yourself at a luxurious apartment where you find a hot shower, a warm meal, a soft bed, and a few days of rest and reprieve, followed by rigorous training. The tears eventually stop coming as easily. It's a little harder to cry when there are bruises that cause a little bit more of a distraction. And while the pain won't go away for some time, purpose can often help bring focus. In our final scene of the night, we transition back to that very storage unit complex, where the pack reconvenes without Charles, although Charles does drop Jester off at the storage unit complex for a very important check-in and a very important arrival of an unexpected guest. But as everyone comes together, the scene is yours.
Welcome for another wonderful meeting. How
There's a lot of horses in here, a lot of long faces. Like, what? I had a good week.
Happy for you.
Me too.
What'd you do?
Finalized the deal on the fertilizer, Aspen. That's a done deal. So that one's in the bag.
any more information you gathered?
Yeah, I got some leads on my various undertakings from Spud. It's not going to be as easy as I thought it was going to be, but we'll figure it out. Yeah. As far as the other thing, the reason why I did the whole thing, I guess he'll get back to me. So I mean, it was late night. He went with me. It was fun.
Good. That's wonderful. Well, I guess that should lead me into my main point today. The cairn. Cairn's gone. Cairn is a problematic on multiple fronts. We're going to have issues with the nation, issues with Charles, but that's fine. We've got a lot of work to do to pull back their ire, I guess you could say, and it's going to take a lot of work. So we've got to sort of be on our best behavior. She makes eyes over to Lucas, smiles. Best behavior, and I'll give you an exception of best behavior, meaning don't get caught doing something stupid. I can at least give you that much.
Thank you.
But we've got to really crack down and start making moves and show that we've got something to give here. And I know the nation and the politics is not most everyone's here's forte or want or need, but it is a necessary thing for us to thrive here. And that means that we have to play nice and do the best that we can to not ruffle more feathers. I know we're going into potentially Bloody Mary issues. We've got to get that all cracked down so we can at least show that we're getting things done here. That leads me into potential situations we can do to line that all up.
At this point, I would like everyone to make a wits and awareness check.
Still at 2 rage, right?
Still at 2 rage. Okay. Aiden and Lucas, you're the first to hear it. Jester, eventually you, and then Aspen finally, when it becomes impossible to ignore. But on the metallic aluminum roofs of the storage units, it sounds like rain at first, as there are little plink, 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 little thuds that eventually start picking up louder and louder until it almost sounds like rain hitting the roofs of the storage units. But you look outside and it's not raining. There's no rain to be heard. sounds like tiny little beating footfalls. When you look to the rooftops, at the crests of the top of the roofs, little beady red eyes, hundreds of pairs of little beady red eyes crown the eaves of the roofs. Rats, dozens and dozens of rats, stand sentinel at the tops of the roofs, peering over the edge. They eventually start to slide down the sides of the roofs until they get to the edge of the awning, looking over the sides. They don't squeak, they don't tussle. They all just peer down upon the assembly. Eliza looks up to the gathering, then looks over at Jester. I believe your messenger has a response for you, if you are of a mind to hear it, though I don't think they care if you are or not.
Let's hear it.
Out of the crowd of rats, possibly the largest rat you've ever seen, comes out of the crowd and climbs down a drain pipe to the ground, moving between your legs to the center of the gathering, to the base of Eliza's feet. It sits back up on its hind legs, looking up at Eliza, and Eliza leans down and holds out a hand, allowing it to climb up her arm and up onto her shoulder. Its long tail kind of tangles around her neck. And after a moment, she drops her head down, letting her hair dangle in front of her face, her shoulders kind of going limp for a moment. And then her head twitches a couple of times. Go ahead, Jester.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'll step forward and like kneel in front of her and wait.
And then as she looks up, Eliza's face twists, her nose starting to kind of twitch, her lips curling in a weird, almost feral appearance.
Well, quite the gathering you have here. A home away for home for the homeless, eh? Much like my own, it seems. We have a lot more in common than I thought, as of late.
It would seem so. It's good to speak with you again, Rat.
Perhaps, perhaps not. We'll see how good it is once the news is shared, once the deal is done. How was your trip, Jester? Or did you have a fall of sorts? Climbed your way back out?
I'm here now. So yes.
Yes, you are. Very strong. Strong indeed. Many don't make that climb.
I had help.
Sure, we'll call it help. So, I have news. Much news. As long as you are willing to still uphold your end of bargain.
I am.
You have to stay alive to uphold your end. I was almost worried when you fell that you weren't going to be able to do it and the news was going to be wasted. Don't do that to me again.
I've already promised someone that I'm going to stay alive, so I'll uphold the bargain. I'll still be alive.
Good. I found her. Trixie, that one is. The one you call Mary. Bloody Mary, quite contrary. She of the high seas, both past and present. An immigrant of sorts. Can't break old habits, it seems. She likes ships. Found herself quite a good one. Helps her stay on the move, stay hidden. Not quite where you'd expect to look. Keeps her back covered. Keeps her options available if she needs to leave all of a sudden. Down at the harbor, the shipping district. That's where we found her. Hiding out in a bit of a foul mood, it seemed. Longing for days of old, feelings of the past she was. Bit of a sentimentalist. Strange to see among the old ones. They've often forgotten, but not her. She still remembers, still longs for days of the past. Bit of a temper that one has, though. Not surprising. A large shipping boat. Gigantic in nature, hard to miss, often stays there. No destination, no place to go. Unusual for a shipping boat, as they often come and go. This one, however, never leaves. But its registry always changes as to avoid suspicion. The normals don't seem to notice. Perhaps they are paid not to care. Find the boat. Find the woman.
Does the boat have any obvious things that stand out that we could find it easily?
A border, black as night. Stripes, red as blood. A chimney, like a pipe that could emanate coal as dark as ash in the sky, but never blooms. Riggings, tall and unmoored. Yet, men with no jobs that still work, that stand post with no burdens other than to watch, always watching, day and night, acting like they work with no job, carrying boxes with no load. Preparing packages with no destination. Question, Cairn Killer?
How many? How many men?
When we visited, or always?
Both?
When we visited, there were 12. Always, there are hundreds.
Did you visit at night or during the day?
Night, of course. Rats go unnoticed in the dark. Though during the day, it's more likely to arouse suspicion. The shipping ports are very heavily trafficked, you see. A good cover for one to sleep who wants to be undisturbed.
You said it never moves?
Never moves.
Which dock is it? You said the harbor. If it's pointed at a dock, which dock is it?
I'm not going to do all your work. That wasn't the deal.
That's fair.
Where was she specifically on the boat?
Down below, deep, deep in the bowels of the ship. I think the kidney?
Is it mostly made of steel or mostly made of wood?
Steel.
Did you
She
get a
may
good
be
look?
sentimental, but she's not stupid. Wood burns, as do they.
Did you get a good look at these men? Anything that they were carrying?
Good enough. Weapons. Many, many weapons.
Were they wearing armor?
Yes.
I'll go to describe the armor that Leon was wearing. Something like that.
Sure. Sounds like weaver work.
Overall foot traffic there at night, other than the people that work there.
Patrolmen, sailors. Sometimes ladies of the evening. For the sailors. My kind of people.
I'll tell you when you're older, Aiden.
Okay.
Were there banes?
You know there were. In a place like that, there can't help but be.
That one way on to the ship itself. A
One
single
way
ramp.
on, but many ways off.
I mean, if we can swim, it's actually many ways on as well.
Were they using cranes to take stuff on and off the ship? Those big ones down by the water?
They have them, yes.
Okay.
Did she have anyone that seemed to be a second or someone she worked closely with?
Yes.
Can you describe them?
Large. Larger than her. Broad. Wide. Though they did not speak, only listened. Might be account to the lack of a tongue. Big brute of an individual. Square head. Clean shaven. what you'd expect of a sailorly type. Tight sleeve shirt, jeans. Wasn't wearing armor.
Did she leave at any point?
Not when we were there.
Did he leave?
Yes.
Suppose you didn't follow him because that wasn't part of the deal either.
You looked for her, not him.
It's fair.
She have any other visitors?
She got a call. Said that an asset was dead. Though I think you already knew that.
Fortifications and weak spots on the boat that you know of, if you've seen?
Well, the pipes were easy enough to crawl, but I think you're too big for that. The water is perfectly fine for swimming up through. But again, we're small, we go unnoticed. Wasn't too hard for us to get aboard, even though there were many of us. But they're not looking for rats. The deck itself, getting aboard direct, it's not likely easy. The smokestack could be a way in, if you were to get up from up high. Few of us got in that way. However, if they were to light that furnace, for one reason or another, that could spell trouble for your type. We know you burn just as good as they do. There are some window panels along the side. If you were to force them open, you could potentially get inside, but you would have to be very strong to do so. They're thick, meant for open waters. A lot of pressure. There was a single rusted panel near the far end of the boat, out near the water. A little bit of upkeep, some growth along the side that needs cleaning off. Problem when you don't move the boat very often. It's under the water. Could spring a leak if it were pried open. If you're looking to do things slow. The docks are very, very secure. When you move as much through that area as this city does, it's a big export-import area. It's very, very tightly secured. A lot of money moves through there, and it's not just leech money. A lot of business interests. That's probably why she held up there.
think I got
Thank
about
you.
as much as I need.
I agree. Thank you, Rat.
Nod to them. Thank you. And I'll be waiting.
They're coming. Though I'm not sure they're going to be friends of yours when they get here, after what you've done. But you're still going to owe them.
I understand.
With that, Eliza shudders a little bit and her head drops. The rat that had kind of slumped on her shoulder perks back up, sitting back up on its hind legs as Eliza slowly stirs the rat, climbs down her arm, hops down onto the ground, stands back up on its hind legs and looks at all of you before scurrying between your legs over to the drain pipe and up to the roof where it joins all of the dozens of other rats up on the roofs. As it squeaks and moves up to the rooftop, the others, all like the pittering of rain again, run up the roofs over the eave and disappear to the other side, leaving you all alone as silence takes hold and the footsteps fade into the distance. Eliza shudders once more, blinking a couple of times. Well, that's quite a
help her.
disturbing feeling.
I'll help her up.
I take it you got what you needed?
We did. Thanks.
Artie looks over to Aspen. So where do we go from here?
Okay. All great information. And these are things we need to start thinking about before we get into what tactics we may use. I think scouting it out would be a good idea for Lucas and Aiden to take care of. We do have the holy water still kind of over our head. I don't know if that's something we still want to pursue. That is a question. It could give us a good advantage, but it could take more time than we're willing to take. So that is also up to the whole.
Well, if I could make a suggestion, you and Jester are great with words, and I know Jester's been, and he already looks over at her with a weak smile, having a bit of a crisis of faith lately. Maybe you guys could see a preacher about some holy water. Like I said, that place might not hurt to go have a conversation. From what I've looked up, it's not the doom and gloom kind of place. It's more of a healing kind of place. And from what the message boards have said, it's kind of a miracle kind of place. So it might not hurt if the two of you went out there and just saw what there is to see. As for Aiden and Lucas, yes, they could go take a look at the docks. Just have some conversations, daytime. What's it to hurt? They blend in pretty well. At least Lucas can help Aiden blend in a little bit. Come on, man. Sailor stuff, you'd be Popeye lines and...
I was going to go buy a pipe.
I knew it. As for me, I think I can do some research into the docks, see what the police response time is, see what the security situation is, just a lot of the technical end of things to see how it looks from that end. I don't know what the spiritual side of things is, but when he looks at Eliza, she could look, but I'm not sure if that's even something we are remotely able to do anything about or prepared for. But it's maybe something we don't even have to worry about if we move quick.
Well, we have the aura shades too. Like, we can at least look and see. I mean, not be able to identify what it is, but we can at least see what's going on.
I
What do you
think that's a great idea. I think Lucas, you could take the ore shades just to kind of see what's happening on that side. Go scout. Look at some of the things that Rat pointed out. If you can get close enough to at least see some things and see what we're looking at, that'd be great. Yeah, Artie, as much as you could possibly find, and potential ways that we could skirt around all of the security, because it sounds like there's a lot. And how we can go about that. And then Jester and I, we can go talk to some priests.
Sounds
There's
like a plan.
something else. There's something else we should consider for after. Every time we've hit them, they've hit us back pretty quickly. We need to make sure they don't they don't know of a place where those we want protected are.
I agree. That was a conversation I had a little bit with Aiden about Eliza. She looks over at Eliza. I appreciate your abilities, but I'd like to keep you as protected and secure as possible for you to do what you're good at.
I understand. That being the case, we can't stay here much longer. This was once a cairn belonging to the old sept, and it was a cairn that they destroyed once time was. Now, luckily, time has been that they have gone unnoticed, but if they decide to get the England to go looking, if they see that the old cairn or the cairn is abandoned, they get wind of that, they will start looking at the old places. They will start if they kept record of it at all, and leeches have long memories, they will start sniffing around places that once were in possession. So we can't stay here much longer. We're going to have to relocate soon.
We can use that to our advantage. Absolutely. If they're going to go exactly where we know they're going to go, then we set traps.
Yep.
I mean, it's obvious. He's 100% right. Jester knows they're going to come after us. So we know what's going to happen. If we know what's going to happen, we need to take advantage of it.
Also, you should look after anybody that you don't have connected to the Karens or the pack that you care about, because they will absolutely go after them.
We could move from here to the future cairn, but is that something that we think is doable within this time frame? And if they go looking for us there, if they get any inkling that we're there, what are the potentials with that?
The place is defensible, but the natural defenses aren't going to be able to hold if they're actually looking. It has a lot of trees in the river, but if they want to find it, they can. We don't have enough established there yet to actually defend it.
Also, my concern is if they discover that place before it's ready, it will lose all of its... Not that it will lose its power, but we will lose any advantage it has in the future as well. One of the advantages that it does have is no one knows about it. It has never been revealed in quite some time, ever since before the leeches came here. For it to be revealed now, that is a great loss of advantage.
Well, now that the Fenris, we assume, is gone, that's what we've been told, is there any way we could get our RVs there, at least for the moment, while all of this is going down, so we have somewhere to put our stuff?
They know they
If-
were there.
I don't mean us stay there, just for the storage unit to be cleaned out with nothing here for them to potentially destroy.
I might have a place. I'm not happy about using it, but I don't want to let that out here, and I want that to be a last resort.
Okay. Well, what we know for sure is that you guys will go look at the harbor. Artie will do his research and we will go talk to a priest. And as we get more information, we can plan better and plan ahead a little bit more.
If Lucas and I are out there and we have the opportunity to get further information, you all right if we go through with something like that?
I would say that would be a last possible resort because if I don't want there to be any potentials that we know that they know that we are on to them, if you will. And somebody going missing, grabbing, that's going to tip something off that something's fishy, and that could potentially be a problem. I'd prefer you didn't, but if you think that there's a way to do it without tipping them off, then I'm not going to say no, but I'd really prefer if you did not.
Well, Lucas has a thing where you stab someone and they think they're with Santa Claus or something like that. So, can we do something like that?
What?
So he has a thing that's in the tube, and you stab someone with it, and they start thinking of different things. If we use one to make them talk about stuff, but then we just leave them there when it's done, and then they go back and. Am I making any sense?
Are you talking about drugging them?
I don't know. It was in a tube, and I was told to stab a dude.
Yes, it's drugs. It's drugs.
Okay.
And we drug somebody. It's drugs. It's
Oh,
natural.
so when Lucas does it, it's fine, but when I do it, it's a problem.
Well, nobody was supposed to know about that, Aiden.
You didn't tell me it was drugs.
Anyways, if you drug somebody, they're probably going to know they got drugged. If they don't, they're going to know something weird happened. They may not know exactly what happened, but they are going to know which is fishy. And if somebody like Bloody Mary finds out, they're going to be on high alert and high guard. And that's something we really don't want. And no, don't do drugs and don't give other people drugs. But that's a conversation for a different time.
My bad.
It's more of a hallucinogenic. Specifically, that's not important though.
Okay, so I will give you guys the address to the worship center. We'll get you guys set up to go to the docks, and we'll see what we can see, and then we'll reconvene and make a plan of attack, I guess, if it's even something we can do. Maybe we can get this done nice and easy, hopefully. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but maybe we can get it done, and then that would be a win for us, for sure.
I like it.
Go team.
Go team.
With a plan ahead, thoughts in mind, and morale uneasy to say the least, this is where our story comes to a close. But of course, not without one final scene. Off in the woods, a large rat moves into a field, a clearing from the trees. This large rat pauses in the field, perching up on its hind legs. It looks to a tree and waits. From the sky, a glimmering light falls and falls and falls until it's caught in one of the branches of the tree. It rolls along the branch of the tree and then drops into a vine that hangs down from the tree and starts swinging. Hi, Rat. Thanks for coming. Star. I know that was hard for you. I know you didn't want to do it, but I really appreciate it. Well, she made a deal. What else was I supposed to do? Well, things are getting a little complicated. And they're figuring it out. They haven't had a lot of help. We're doing the best we can. And we need all the allies we can get. Tell your people to be nice when they get here. No promises. We've had it rough. You know my type. We get the shit end of the stick most of the time. Ooh, you said a bad word. Sorry. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting story to be told. There's two ways that this ends. One way, it's a big happy family. Another way, she looks up to the sky. Maybe they spend more time looking up. And that's where our story comes to an end. Thank you so much to these incredible players. Thank you to everybody watching at home. If you enjoyed tonight's story and you're enjoying the World of Darkness, come join our community at the Discord link listed in the description. You could be a part of St. Pete by Night. We have many tables forming all the time. We have new storytellers joining our amazing storyteller team, which means more opportunities for you. But we have one-shots, we have play-by-post, or we just have a pretty incredible community where you can come talk about the World of Darkness, as well as many, many other incredible nerdy things like Wicked has been a huge subject lately, if you couldn't tell from our darling Champ's introduction earlier tonight. So come join us. Also, go follow us on all of the social media, including Blue Sky. We went and signed up there, so go give us a follow and check out our follow lists on there where you can follow our amazing players as well as other crazy content creators from the World of Darkness. Just go follow us on all the things. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back here next week on Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. And we'll see you next time. Have a good evening, everyone. Good night.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. Reach Across Tampa is produced in agreement with World of Darkness and Dark Pact. The storyteller for Rage Across Tampa is Kent. Tonight's characters were voiced by Preston, Champ, Noree, and Walks. Visit our website at stpbynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, Fang, Stakes, and Claws out.